Hi everyone, my name is Madalena Sarafiano and I'm a senior scientist at the Institute of Microelectronics within the Acoustics MEMS department. Today I'm here to talk to you about the essentials of PMUT sensors and in a sense answer the questions of what PMUTs are and how they work. But more generally, what is an ultrasonic sensor? A sound wave, an ultrasound wave, is a vibration that is transmitted through a medium, and that can be air, can be water, or can be solid materials like metals. Typically, an ultrasound is covering a specific frequency range, which is after the infrared inaudible range, starting at 20 kilohertz onwards up and after 10 megahertz. Now, an ultrasonic sensor consists of two parts. One is the transmitting part and the other one is the receiving part. And you can see the schematic at the bottom of the slide. When it is operating as a transmitter, it emits a signal, a sound wave, and which is propagating in the medium, which is represented by the red lines. And once it hits an object, part of that wave is reflected back, which is represented by the green dashed lines, and as it's bouncing off different objects, and it's being collected, captured at the receiver. Now, that transmit-receive sensor uses that time it takes for the sound wave to come back after impinging the object, to determine the distance of the sensor from the object. Now, looking more closely at what a PMUT is. A PMUT stands for a piezoelectric micromachine ultrasonic transducer. It's effectively a miniaturized ultrasound sensor, and you can see it at the top left corner of this slide. It's effectively consisting of a membrane, typically of silicon, which is sandwiched, which is coupled with a piezoelectric layer, and that piezoelectric layer is sandwiched between two electrodes, the top electrode and the bottom electrode. Now, when our PMUT is operating as a transmitter, when we are applying effectively a voltage through the signal generator, the membrane, the red membrane, vibrates, deflects, and the sound wave effectively propagates through the medium. That signal, as we saw earlier on, propagates through the medium. It might find an object whereby it impinges on the object, and part of that is reflected back. So when that sound wave, that reflected wave comes back, it hits on the membrane, it deflects against the membrane, and that translates into a charge at the top and bottom electrode, which is measured by an oscilloscope. Typically, this kind of PMUT membranes are very small in the ranges of micrometers, so you need a microscope to actually understand how it looks. And we usually don't use them or fabricate them or design them individually. We stack them up in big groups, like the one you see at the center of the slide in the blue circle, and we create arrays of PMUTs that are being born, which is effectively collections of a large number of different membranes in rows and columns or in different designs. And such a square design, as the one you see in the center of the slide, is effectively in dimensions of millimeters, can be 2 by 2 millimeters. And again, we don't really produce them as individual dies. We usually stack them up in collections of a lot of dies and in something that is a wafer and is represented in centimeters by the image you see where my cursor is. So effectively, that is what is being manufactured by different MEMS fabrication facilities like IME. And they are fabricated in facilities like this. These are called clean rooms. And the people who fabricate them, they are integrators and they dressed in coveralls because of strict conditions that need to apply in this kind of facilities. They fabricate wafers as the one you see at the top image on the right. As I mentioned earlier on, PMUTs can be designed in many different designs and arrangements, so there's a lot of versatility. There can be different membrane sizes for air-coupled operation and different ones for immersion. So typically the size of a membrane, the width of a membrane is inversely proportional to the frequency of operation. So effectively for air-coupled, we have large membranes which are operating in hundreds of kilohertz, whereas for immersion, we have very, very small membranes which operate in few to tens of megahertz. So advantages can be that PMUTs are highly customizable and miniaturized. They have a very small size, so we can effectively stack them up together and create large and powerful arrays. And also these arrays can fit in small enclosures because even from the point of view of an array, it's a very small dimension to be able to have that advantage. They can be actuated with a low voltage, and they also have a very increased sensitivity over large ranging distances. So very small device, very powerful, and can actually be operated at very different distances. And in terms of its applications, it can be used as proximity sensors when we park our cars, for smart wearables, for health, work, fun, and sports, for medical imaging applications, and for consumer electronics, such as gesture recognition or haptics. Thank you very much for attending this short video.